an injection of testosterone. Yeah, it just gets the ewes cycling, and the rams are obviously doing their job in a shorter period, and that's tightening joining up. Does anyone know if there's any truth to the whole goldfish eating the blue-green algae? Ain't that an annoying sound? Some of you and your keen eyes may notice where this is, and to be honest, just quietly, it's getting dry. G'day everyone, what's going on today? So yesterday we were shearing some second cross lambs and the teasers. So there was a lot more than this obviously, but these three are going down the paddock now and the rest are going back out to their own paddock. But so teasers, what they do is they go in before joining, before the actual rams go in, and they tease the ewes, I suppose. They get them in the mood and start them sort of cycling. And so what they got was an injection of testosterone. And in basic terms, what this does is makes them think they're rams. So they try and sort of ride the ewes, and yeah, it just gets the ewes cycling, and then the end result being you get hopefully a lot tighter joining, which this year I think, so for example our twin ewes, so we scanned all our ewes, you saw that. So if all our twin ewes up the back here in the couple of paddocks, so they all should have lambed at 200%. So we should have marked, you know, out of 100 ewes we should have got 200 lambs ideally, but obviously you're going to lose some to foxes, and you know, maybe for whatever reason you'll lose some. But this year we marked sort of 180 and 90%, which is very good really. Like usually you'll mark 160 or 70% in your twin ewes, in ours anyway. We do have a lot of trouble with foxes and whatnot, but this year, yeah, 180 and 90% we marked, which is just, you know, that's really good. And the only thing we can really put it down to is using these teasers last year. Just gets all the ewes cycling all at once sort of thing, so the rams are obviously doing their job in a shorter period, and that's tightening joining up, and we think resulting in the foxes sort of having too many lambs to take. You know, if you're lambing over, you know, I mean, over exaggerating, but if you're lambing over 100 ewes over 10 weeks, what's that, so 10 lambs a week say, then obviously the foxes are gonna, this is theoretical obviously, the foxes are gonna be able to probably keep up with that. You know, they might eat 10 lambs a week, but 100 ewes lambing in 3 weeks, what's that equal, 30 or 40 lambs a week. The foxes obviously aren't going to be able to keep up with that, like eat that many lambs, take that many lambs. So that's sort of the only thing we can put it down to. A mild winter would have helped, but it certainly wouldn't have put the percentages up like that. So last year was obviously the first time we've used these teasers, and I didn't show it because I wasn't here when Dad did it. So we don't join all at once either. These are going to go down to the early crossbred ewes, or 200 odd I think there is. These fellas will get him in the mood. Hey lads. But yeah, it's pretty funny because they obviously think they're rams. So we gave them this injection yesterday, and usually takes a couple of days, but they often start fighting with each other and carrying on and that sort of thing. And we put 2 tags in their ears. You'll see they've got 2 tags just so that we know, because you're not meant to sell them. They're not meant to go off the property, they're meant to die on here. That's why we put 2 in their ears, so that we know then, because none of our other sheep have 2 tags. Look at you, spoilt. Also, these are the AI ewes, so they'll be AI'd tomorrow after 12 o'clock, and they actually have to be off food and water since last night they came in. So they've got to be off food and water for sort of day and a half, 2 days. I guess they're ruminants and work a bit differently to us, but I couldn't go a day without eating. But they look pretty good though. They've been getting lupin, two 20-kilo bags of lupins and a bucket of pellets in the morning, and that's for the protein. So the protein helps them, supposed to help them start cycling, and I'll be showing the AI on camera hopefully. Obviously I'll ask the vet and make sure he's happy for me to film a bit of it, but also don't want to get in his road and things. I don't know. I'm sure he'll be fine with it, so hopefully I can show you guys that this year. It's yeah, it's a pretty incredible procedure actually. Someone found a deep bank. Lucky it's got bash plates. Oh, it'll fall out. Come on, fellas. Oh, that's it. There we go. So this is the trough for the show sheep, the show rams specifically, and I try to clean it every day. But does anyone know if there's any truth to the whole goldfish eating the blue-green algae? Is that a thing, or is it viable, at least for a trough this size? I don't know how many you'd need, and I'd assume you'd have to clean it out really well before you put any in here, because it'd be too far ahead of them. But I don't know, it's just something I was thinking about. I've heard stories, but I guess I could Google it, but yeah, I don't know if it's actually true or not. But anyway, let me know down below if it is a thing or not, because I would be keen to get some probably. Ain't that an annoying sound? There's a sensor going bad. I think it's it's a clutch sensor. It's just a sensor. We had the mechanic out yesterday looking at it. I think they had to order one in, but he said we could still drive it. It was fine. It was just a failed sensor. But it is an annoying sound. And then when you pull the handbrake on, it just gets worse. But no, hopefully that'll be fixed in this week, hopefully. How about this for a head of Phalaris? That's the steering wheel. Sheep generally will come through and just nip the top off this, but that's more than a mouthful. Yeah, what a year. So we'll be AIing the ewes on the board here in the morning, which obviously I'll show you that tomorrow a bit more, exactly how we're going to do it. But there's just a bit of stuff lying around that I'm just going to clean up a bit. Alright, so we've just been cleaning up the shed for AIing tomorrow. The shearing shed, we do them in the shearing shed on the board, but I just thought I'd come down and thought it'd be a good end to this. Well, not a good end, but I thought I'd just finish this video off nicely if I came down here and showed you this paddock. Now, some of you and your keen eyes may notice where this is, but this is the paddock that we tried to sow again. I think the video is titled "Let's Try This Again" or something. Anyway, it failed once earlier this year into pasture, and then we tried sowing it again into a chicory lucerne and clover mix, and as you can see, there's not a lot of chicory, lucerne or clover. That's chicory, that green, those green little plants you can see well in the sun there. But the rest of it's just weeds, unfortunately. It's rather annoying because some of you may have guessed, may not have already, but this year being so wet and cool, mild conditions, still hasn't got hot yet. So 25s, 26 is the highest it's been, which, I mean, it's only the start of summer, but still, we should have seen plenty of days, you know, like that already. But I came down here one morning, and I should have brought the camera with me, and they might still be out. I'll come down in the morning and see if they're here, but I came down early one morning, would have been 6:30 in the morning, reasonably cool. We just had a little bit of rain the night before, and I looked on the ground and all I could see was these little slugs crawling around. Yeah, I thought, oh, that doesn't look good. And you know, the pasture, that was probably 3 weeks post seeding. Pasture wasn't really doing anything, I couldn't see, and it should have definitely have germinated by then and have been nearly probably emerging because it was warming up by then. Anyway, left it and then it just never came up. or parts of it did. I'll put the drone up and show, you can see exactly the sort of what we're dealing with. But then we rang the agronomist and he had a look, called in and had a look, and he said, yep, it's definitely slugs that have been eating it. So the reason there's still a bit of chicory around is because I don't think they eat that as much as the lucerne and clover. So as the lucerne and clover was coming up, they were just nipping it off and killing it basically, which is very annoying because that's not something I've ever seen. Not that I've been around long, but maybe that was the same problem we had the first go at it, but I don't think so. I think it was just too cold and wet. I think that was that reason. And then to try and do it again and it fail again is pretty annoying. And I know for a fact that this paddock's soil condition, you know, pH and things is good. It's fine. It's had lime and plenty of super and sewerage ash, so it's not that, and that grew a good couple of years of really good oats crops. But yeah, now we're faced with another predicament, and we don't really know what to do, because as you'll see from the drone shots, some of it is nearly worth leaving because it is pretty good, really. There's probably 15 or 16 hectares I think, and there might be 5 hectares of it that's good. Well, not good, but you know, is all right. There's plenty of chicory and stuff in there. It's just, don't know what to do at this stage. Sort of got to make a decision soon, because all these silvergrass plants are going to head, and their seed heads will be viable soon, and then they'll drop and we'll have another problem next year. So got to make a decision. But anyway, the joys of it. So we could spray it out now and then it go into like a winter crop, whether that be, you know, canola or wheat or something. I think canola would probably go pretty well because it's a pretty free draining paddock. Doesn't get overly wet. There's a sort of wet patch that runs, a little bit of wet patch that runs through the middle there, but what paddock this year doesn't have a wet patch running through it? And to be honest, just quietly, it's getting dry. The past two since the ram sale actually, which, what's the date today? The 8th of December, and the ram sale was the 17th. It's looking a bit dry. You know, you look out there and we've had a couple of weeks of, you know, not hot but warm weather, like sort of 20-25 degrees consistently, and not a lot of rain, and there's not much coming up, you know, in the next 7-day forecast. They are predicting a wet January, February, I think. But I mean, it's a bit of a nice change, being able to actually drive around places and not make an absolute mess through the paddocks. It's almost haying off now, like the country's almost browning off, which it'll be big fire risk if it does turn real hot now. I should mention too, so you can bait for slugs. You can put through, like, spread pellets out on the ground. But obviously by the time we found out what it was sort of a bit too late. And the other thing that kills the slugs is hot weather. So just hopefully we get a bit of hot weather and that'll sort of kill them. Get rid of them, and then we can have another go next year. I'm not sure how it works, like how their life cycle works, so whether, I'll have to read up on it, but how you know, if it doesn't get hot, do they stick around and are they surviving? Because you can only sort of see them in the cool of the morning. They must come out at night time, I think. That's the first bit of dust I've seen in a while, so I don't know whether they're still around or not, but I hope you enjoyed that little video. Any suggestions about what we should do with this paddock, I'd be open to looking at them. Yeah, we've just got to make a decision soon, otherwise yeah, we'll have a weed burden in this paddock. It is pretty good at the moment, so we want to try and keep it that way. Next video will be AIing these ewes tomorrow, hopefully. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and with that we'll catch you in the next one. Alrighty, see ya, bye.